One thing I always like to ask an audience is, how well do you think you are prepared for a world in which the future belongs to those who are fast? You know, how well do you think you are prepared? So we're going to do a little text message poll, because when you're up here on stage, you notice everybody's looking at their Blackberries, their iPhones, their devices. Come on, do a little poll. I want to ask you the question. When it comes to the fast future, how well are you prepared? Here's what you do to participate. You send a text message to the number 22333. And if you think you're extremely well positioned for success, you punch in 234161. If you're under the age of 25 and you know how to tweet, send a tweet to @poll space one of these numbers and your votes will come in. And I want to tell you two little stories while we wait to see what the room is collectively thinking about how well prepared the world of manufacturing is for the fast future. I was down in Austin, Texas last year. I had the Texas Credit Union League in the room. I had 600 CEOs for credit unions, large and small, from throughout the great state of Texas in the room. And I'm up on stage, I'm looking around, the average age, a lot of white hair in the room, the average age seemed to be about 65, 55 plus. And I could see these CEOs out in the room sort of joking amongst themselves. I don't know how to text. Do you know how to text? Do you know how to participate? Out of those 600 CEOs in the room, 3 people managed to get in a vote. And think about a world of fast-paced change. Think about what is about to occur. As soon as Apple puts in a near-field communications chip into the iPhone, our iPhones become credit cards. This is going to cause massive disruption, massive change within the world of banking. The new competitors for banks are organizations like PayPal, Facebook, Google. And here I've got a room full of CEOs who barely know how to use the technology, which is going to cause so much change in their industry. Contrast that, a couple of weeks after that, I went into my son's high school, walked out in the auditorium, they brought 300 kids in, and I said, I understand I'm in a high school, you're not supposed to be using your cell phones, take them out because we're going to do a poll. And 297 out of 300 kids responded in the first 35 seconds. That's your next workforce. That's the kid who's going to arrive in your manufacturing facility with AutoCAD on an iPad and asking, where do I plug in? And asking, how do we re-engineer your manufacturing processes to take advantage of all this digital technology around us? How do we ingest technology at a faster pace to ensure we can step above the level of manufacturing excellence that exists around the world? How do we utilize digital technologies to restore America's place in global manufacturing? That digital generation is unlike any generation we've ever seen. So how confident are we? Not terribly. We got 80% of the room is sitting back and saying, whoa, this guy's freaking me out already. We're only somewhat positioned for success. We're behind in our ability to keep up. 4% of the room has voted. That we're toast, it's way too fast. I know what happened to these people. These people were, making friends with the minibar last night. They stayed up way too late. They're not feeling good about anything right now. I mean, they're just in a sort of a collective state of denial. We got 15% of the room extremely well positioned for success. These are sales executives. They got up in the morning, they looked in the mirror and said, it's going to be a great day. I'm going to get that sale. They're always positive. Here's the thing. Here's what we want to think about. What we want to think about is what do you need to do to ensure you are focused on the opportunities in the future? Through the 20 years that I've been focused on future trends and innovation, I've had the opportunity to talk to a lot of companies, a lot of CEOs, a lot of organizations. I've seen what some have done to ensure that they can thrive in a world of fast-paced change. Years ago, I was with one manufacturing organization, and the CEO said, I understand your innovation ideas. They're applicable, but how do we become a world-class innovator? How do we truly do something special? So I went home and I wrote a blog post, and it was trying to challenge myself. And the question is, what is it that world-class innovators do that others don't do? What can we learn from world-class innovators? And I want to share with you just a few of those ideas. The number one thing I've recognized, world-class innovators realign themselves to the longer term. Bill Gates once made the observation, if you think about it, a lot of folks tend to overestimate the rate of change that's going to occur on a 2-year basis. They underestimate the rate of change that will occur on a 10-year basis. Do we possibly think the world of manufacturing is going to look anything in 2014 like it looks like today? We will barely recognize it because of all of the change that is underway now. We will barely recognize what manufacturing looks like. And what I've learned through the years is a lot of organizations have a hard time comprehending just how much change can occur on a 10-year basis. And back in 2003, Daimler Chrysler, remember them? Daimler Chrysler, the newly merged entity of Mercedes-Benz and Chrysler. They brought me over to Stuttgart, Germany for a small meeting of senior manufacturing engineers. The focus of the meeting with 20 executives, 10 from Mercedes-Benz, 10 from Chrysler. The focus of the meeting was to think about what would the auto industry look like 10 years out in the year 2013. Do you know what they did the entire first morning? They talked about what their competition might be doing 10 years out. Their entire conversation was, well, you know, Ford's going to do this, and GM's going to do that, Toyota's probably going to do this. Their entire worldview was shaped by the belief that the car industry of 2013 would look exactly like it did in 2003. They brought me in as a futurist to challenge their thinking, and I was prepared to challenge them. You know, they talked about what their competitors would do for about an hour, and I finally said to them, you folks don't get it. You know, you could find yourself in a situation in 2013, 10 years out, in which you are competing with companies which are not in the auto industry today. You could find yourself in an industry in which there are business models being transformed. You could find yourself in a situation in which there are people who are thinking differently about the industry than you are. And their reaction was, that's not going to happen. We're a car company. This is the car industry. It costs billions of dollars to build a manufacturing facility in the auto industry. It's not easy for anybody to become a car manufacturer. I was prepared to challenge it. I had to think quickly. At that moment in time, I had my laptop open. I had Google Maps on the screen. Google Maps was appearing for the very first time. Remember the first time you saw Google Maps? You got that picture of your house from the satellite, you kind of went, whoa, it's not like I hadn't seen your house before. I had Google Maps on the screen. And I said, well, how about this? We could have a couple of auto engineers right now, 2003, at Googleplex headquarters in Mountain View, California. And they're working on Google Maps. One of the Google engineers says to the other Google engineer, this is really cool mapping technology we have. You know what we should do? We should build a car around this. I started spinning the story. I said, Google's going to build a car. Google could be your competitor. I said, Google's not actually going to build the car. It's simply going to contract out its manufacturer. They're going to do the design. But they're simply going to line up with an existing car manufacturer in Brazil, India, China, Tennessee. It doesn't matter where. I said, Google's going to be prepared to challenge business models. People don't like buying cars, I said. We go to a car dealer, we always feel like we're getting ripped off. People are buying more things on the internet. Google is going to sell the car to you online. I said, Google's going to be very big in logistics. They're going to have the car delivered to you via FedEx in a box. And I'm just winding myself up. I said, there's this thing called social marketing, social networking come along, viral buzz. Google understands they live in a new marketing world. So when you open up in the year 2013, your Google car in a box, you're going to discover the Google car party in a box. There's going to be Google car hats and streamers and confetti and wine and horns. You're going to invite all your neighbors over because you got the Google car, the coolest car on the planet. How do you think these very serious auto engineers in Stuttgart, Germany are reacting to the concept of Google becoming a car company? Maybe exactly what's going through your mind. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. That's the stupidest idea I've ever heard. Fast forward to 2012, 2013, Tesla Motors, California. What's going on here, folks? What is going on here is people who are sitting back and rethinking the auto industry, sitting back and rethinking design principles, sitting back and rethinking manufacturing methodologies, sitting back and challenging the entire industry with new ways of doing things in business model transformation. You know, if you go into the Scottsdale Fashion Mall in Phoenix, Arizona, you find a Tesla dealership. It's in a high-end fashion mall. You think about what is happening here. The New York Times and the Wall Street Journal and Business Week are all writing articles now saying Tesla is redefining the way for the auto industry. Most people tend to overestimate the rate of change that will occur on a 2-year basis. They underestimate the rate of change that's going to occur on a 10-year basis. And that period of time is collapsing. We're in Detroit. Think about what's going to happen with the car in just the next several years. Think about the automobile by 2017. The automobile by 2017 is probably going to have a Siri button in every single car. We know that Apple is cutting deals with every single automotive manufacturer right now. We're probably going to have built into the windscreen augmented reality with heads-up display. I just sat in the cockpit of a Boeing 787 a couple of weeks ago. Augmented reality heads-up display. Anybody seen those Burton Oakley snowboard skiing goggles? Any skiers, boarders in the room? You've got a kid coming down the hill, and in their goggles, with augmented reality, they're getting Facebook posts, they're getting Twitter feeds, they're getting text messages, they're getting real-time information on their speed, their velocity, the number of miles they've skied. Little hint, you want to stay behind this person because they're not really paying attention to anything they're doing. That technology is going to be in our automobiles before we know it. Probably going to have glasses-free 3D dashboards. We're going to have interactive in-car billboards. I was speaking at a real estate conference last week. Now I'm going to be in my car, and I'm going to be talking to Siri. I'm looking for 3 properties nearby with 3 bedrooms, a swimming pool, and 2 baths. And Siri's going to respond, I found 5 for you, Jim Carroll. And I'm simply going to say to the car, take me there, and the car's navigation steering system is going to take over and autonomously drive me to tour those properties. This technology is coming at us so fast. The speed is absolutely staggering. And not only are our cell phones about to become credit cards, our car is about to become a credit card. Because every single phone company out there is working to embed SIM cards within the car. We're going to sit back 5 years from now and go, holy cow, that happened fast.